So my technician has decided to come out and inspect the work area. Hey, so welcome back to the channel. Since our last video, we had the opportunity to put our timing cover on. We were able to put on our alternator. We were able to put on our tensioner and our VVT solenoids, and we got everything torqued down to specs. Today I'm hoping to get the water pump on, at least set the crank pulley in, as well as my idler pulley, and maybe even the valve covers. So we're gonna try to get that. I know there's some little, doodads and water fittings and everything, but we're kind of doing it at a pace where the parts are coming in. I noticed got a lot of stuff going on over here, a lot of parts from the last video I showed you. A lot of those are for the car, specifically maybe the body. We got the K member in, so once we're done this, we can pull out the 4.0, slap in the 5.0. Got the transmission sitting over on the other side of the car. Two transmissions actually. One's gonna be a rebuild, and we got one from a 2014 GT Mustang for the low price of $200. Had low miles on the car because yeah, the guy kept it like that. But anyway, let's get back into this belt. Alright, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna install our water pump. And the water pump comes with an O-ring, and instructions say to go ahead and lubricate this O-ring with some new coolant and then place it in the slot. And then we'll go ahead and start our bolts. And our first set of torque series should be at 20 Newton meters, and then we're going to go ahead and apply 60-degree torque to each bolt. Alright, so now we want to install our coolant pump pulley, and this needs to be torqued down to 18 foot-pounds. Alright, so now we want to install our front crank shaft oil seal. And we have to lubricate the seal and a little bit of the surrounding area to get a good fit. So we want to take our new seal and add some lubrication to it so that it helps it seat inside. Don't need a lot, just it'll just enough for it to slide on. Now I don't have a seal. There's a special tool that you can use, and I don't have that. So what I'm going to try to do is gently tap it in and see if I can get it flush on all sides and get it to seat. Get it flush. Alright, so while we're over here, we've got our roll seal installed. We're going to go ahead and install our Alright, little pulley here. Alright, so now we want to torque our little pulley to 20 foot-pounds. Okay, so before we put our balancer on, the manual says that we want to align our woodruff key, but we also want to apply a little bit of silicone coating inside of that. So we're going to lubricate where the shaft itself meets the external surfaces here. So now we're going to go ahead, line up our keyhole, and hopefully we don't have to persuade it a lot. Although it looks like we're going to have to. Alright, so in order for us to tighten down our crank pulley and get it seated, we had to order this kit. It's the OEM 27306, and we're going to be using the forward application bolt, which is the Delta. It's the M12 by 1.5. And then the lockdown flange to help us push it in. Alright, so now that we got our nut and our flange close, press down as far as we can get it. The crank started turning. I know we're timed, but we're just going to back this off. And then we're going to go ahead and remove this from the threaded insert on the crank. And then we're going to go to the back and we're going to proposition some of our bolts that are going to go into the back of the crank, and using the pry bar hold it down so we can torque this down. Alright, so now that we got our crankshaft pulley pretty much seated and flush, we're going to go ahead and torque it down. I'm not going to use the standard OEM 4-bolt with the, washer. I think it's like 159 foot-pounds to torque, but it's also just a torque to yield. So once I use it once, that's a wrap. So if I ever have to go back in, make any adjustments, tear this down, I have to go buy another one. So I decided to opt for the ARP. We learned our lesson. So this is the part number 156-2502. It's a balancer bolt kit. Also comes with the prelude assembly, so it's going to have its torque stack, the washer, and the 12-point socket head. So let's get to torquing this down. All right, so what we do is we got a pry bar set up, and I threaded in some of the rear crank bolts here. So we're going to go ahead and just put some pressure on it so I can get this down to the torque specs. All right, so once again, ARP 156-2502 for the Ford 5.0 Coyote V8. And it's going to ask us to go down to 100 foot-pound. And we're going to go ahead and apply our fastener loop to the seat of the hat of the boat, as well as the threads. All right, so we're on the left side of the block, and we're going to be installing our little intercooler. Very small. It's not like a relocation kit. I do have one of those, but I want to see how the stock system sets up. I think these came on like a track pack configuration. Not sure if they came on all GT, stock GTs. The manual alludes to it. So we're going to go ahead and install our threaded bolt through the intercooler. Make sure that it's in a good position, and we'll get it started. My technician has come out to help me, and then we're going to lock this down 43 foot-pound. Just so you know, there's an inner these are, I guess, like the key head. So this is like a 14 mil, and that's what you're going to use to torque it with. Okay, so pretty much everything is buttoned up on the front of the engine. Uh, in this setup, I've heard people getting an actual F-150 from 2011 through 14 to help with the tensioner. I don't have a compressor on yet. It is in this box. I'm just waiting for the power by hour kit that allow me to install that and get it up, because I am going to be using the 4.6 compressor from the Mustang GT from 05 to 10, and that way it still allows me to use the AC system inside of here. And I had to get new lines to like swap it out, because the 4.0 and the 4.6 had totally different AC setup. So we're gonna go ahead and get to this part that I've been waiting for. We're gonna go ahead and slap on these valve covers right now, and this thing's gonna be looking really mean, really clean. Just glad we took our time with it and wasn't rushing anything. So let's get those valve covers installed. And if you've seen the short, we did get the aluminum. These are from the GT500 or 350s. One for looks, but mainly for looks, honestly. But two, there was a TSB that came out, Ford published a TSB, and they said that the plastic valve covers were leaking because not all of the plastic tabs where the bolts were supposed to be were drilled through. So the TSB was to go ahead, poke through those plastic holes, and add more screws into it. We're just gonna go. This comes with all the screws, all the hardware. We're gonna go ahead and get these set up. So before we get our valve cover gasket installed, we're gonna work with the right head first. We're gonna go ahead and install some silicone right where the joints meet again. And we're gonna come in with our high-speed valve cover gasket and our valve cover. And we're just gonna make sure we're gonna try to get those grommets over our VCTs, as well as make sure they are in alignment with our it just looks gorgeous. It just looks like it's supposed to sit there. So now we'll get our bolts installed, and they're going to be torqued down to 89 inch-pounds. All right, so now that we got our right valve cover on, we're going to put our left one on and go ahead and apply that silicone as we stated. Okay, so on our right side of the head, we want to take our crankcase sensor, all right, our breather, and we want to just lube it a little bit. We're installing a new one. We're going to go ahead. There's two tabs. Let's see if I can show you. There's two tabs inside of the body itself that you're going to lock this into. You see the keyway right here, indicator. So you should just be able to put it down and then turn it. And now that's locked into place. Now, as far as our left side, this is just a breather, but the same thing. We have our little tabs on the inside, and we're just going to turn it until it locks into place. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to install our oil cap, our oil fill. we may just go temporarily install this. This is what came with the actual valve covers. I may get an extended neck just to help with oil changes and getting the neck a little bit higher than the surface. But for now, that's good enough just to keep anything from falling down on the block. We're gonna go ahead and check for any bolts that we may have missed, and next we're gonna move on to putting in our spark plugs. I decided to go with the Ford Motorcraft, the SP 548Xs. They can be used in lieu of the SP 548, so I just went with the X one. These are the platinum tips. So we're gonna go ahead and get these installed and torqued to the right specifications. All right, so now my wife is going to attempt to put her first spark plug ever in a vehicle. And she's failing to make sure she's not cross-threading the hole. And once it can't turn anymore, she's going to immediately pull it out. Let's do some inspection, shall we? All right, so she did a great job, so we're going to let her do the next three. All right, so let's go ahead and install our coil packs. Let's just put them in for now so we can keep anything from falling down into the block of the engine. All right, so now we're going to do our left side of the cylinder head. Okay, so we're pretty much done up top here, minus those bolts. And I'm gonna want to replace this tubing. This came with the actual cylinder head when I bought it. I thought that I could reuse it, just probably put a different O-ring on it. But for some reason, it looks too close to that head. Anybody in the comments, let me know if that's supposed to be that close. Because this inlet right here looks like appropriately, in this configuration. But that tube looks like it's bent. And if it's going to cause problems, I want to know before I get this thing buttoned up. We are missing our air compressor mounting bracket. I got to get that from Power by the Hour. They have that so you can use the 4.6. We do have the compressor. We just haven't had a chance to get those bolts to mount it. And of course, that F-150 tensioner from 2011 to 2014. I do have that other idler pulley. So once we get this side taken care of, we can go ahead, get this off of the engine stand, put it on our crate. We're going to have to build one and prepare ourselves to get out that 4.0. I mean, it's still sitting inside of that. Yeah, lots of stuff going on. But anyway, hey, we're going to do one more thing, and you're going to see it in just in 1 second. So we went with the part number right here, FL3Z-6754-C for our dipstick tubing. And then for our actual dipstick, we went with part number FL3Z-6750-D. So let's get that installed, and this will complete our left side of the engine. All right, so once you got the tube in, we'll go ahead and install our actual dipstick. There we go. And that should be easy to check our oil from this location. All right, so hey, we reached the stopping point. Again, we talked about getting our AC compressor installed once we get the power by our AC compressor kit. The idler pulley and the tensioner on here from the F-150. But I think we're at a good stopping point. This thing is pretty much ready to go and get installed into our 4.0. Of course, we say it again, we will have to take the 4.0 first. However, once we get these small little bolts in, we do have to make one adjustment. I got a spacer plate from a company called Massive that's going to help us lift this block onto our cherry picker. Unfortunately, we will have to remove this water tubing here, as well as this water tubing here, which our degas goes to. Not a big deal because, I wanted to remove this anyway, just to make sure that we had the right angle on the bend of this tubing. And this is not a big problem. We can just remove that out, torque it back down, and get back to rocking. So anyway, I'm going to end this video. I don't want to be in the keep teasing you guys and gals out there, but there's a lot of other things that I do besides work on cars. Well, actually work on this car, should I say. So thanks for stopping in. It's your boy Tommy from 2020 Garage. You know how it is out there, and keep wrenching.